Hey everybody, it's good to be continuing in God's Word with you throughout these weeks, and especially this week through the book of Numbers, where we see the people of Israel coming to the end of their journeying through the wilderness, ready to enter into the promised land, the land of Canaan. And it was really interesting to see how Moses kept a record of all of the stops along the way in which the Israelites set up camp and took up camp and went on to the next place and the next place. Very detailed in terms of recording that journey. And likewise, God himself is very detailed about the borders of the land that the people will occupy, that he has promised them. And so I thought I'd show you a map about how that, as it was indicated in the book of Numbers, appears on a map of that area. And also kind of take a look at what the modern map looks like nowadays, along with some other political ramifications in our present day. So as we take a look at the map, we see here that in red we have the borders that God has outlined. Out here in the north, off of the Mediterranean Sea from Mount Hor, it goes directly west over to a place called Zedad, and it angles down and starts to begin south and heads right down the Jordan River, and that is the easternmost part of the boundary that God had outlined down to the Salt Sea or the Dead Sea, which is right there, and it continues along into the wilderness of Zin. Now, interestingly enough, the wilderness of Zin was kind of a border along the northern part of the land of Edom, where the Edomites lived. And so God chose to cut across that wilderness to a place called Kadesh Barnea, and then head like northwest up to the land of Egypt and to the Mediterranean Sea, kind of along that river of Egypt. Now also on my map it shows the same kind of geographical outline of the land of Canaan again in the book of Ezekiel, where God's people took that land back. Slightly different, but very much similar. Okay? So as we look at the modern day map, we'll see that this is about right up here is where Mount Zor is. That's through the country of Lebanon, so we would just follow through here down the Jordan River, and now we would normally cross over this area here, the wilderness of Zin, and head up to along the river of Egypt to the Mediterranean Sea. Now it's gone all the way down into this region down here, near the northern or the southern tip of Jordan. And we also see the West Bank is outlined here in modern times. So Lebanon and Beirut has occupied the northern region, and Israel now is just this yellow area here. Now you might also have heard our own president talk about something called the Levant. And he references this in terms of naming the terrorist group that we all know called ISIS, but he calls them ISIL. Now, ISIS is a name that says Islamic State from Iran to Syria. Well, the president, in his naming of ISIS to the group of ISIL, is really saying that the Islamic State just doesn't occupy Iran and Syria, but it also occupies the surrounding region, which is here. It looks like a big backward C. So as you can see, it goes well north, just to the southern tip of Turkey, through Syria, across the Euphrates River, down through the Syrian desert, and comes through that Suez Canal, up through the Gaza Strip into Egypt itself. So what he's really saying is that that region, the Levant, encompasses that which is considered modern-day Israel. So here again, here's the land of Canaan that God himself prescribed in the book of Numbers, and now Israel is just based just a little south of there, and there's the West Bank as well that is kind of encroaching there. But in terms of when our president speaks of ISIL and the area that the Islamic State occupies, it's not just confined to Syria and Iran, but it encompasses a much greater area, including that of Israel, which you can imagine has a lot of ramifications on the nation of Israel in modern day. Well, I hope that's been interesting to you today. It's always kind of interesting to look at maps from long ago to present day and how geopolitical borders have changed regions throughout time through wars and other conquests, or through political treaties and things of that nature. But God is a God of detail, and as we can see, He certainly outlined His region for the people of Israel to have a land of Canaan, a land flowing of milk and honey for them to enter into. And as we see, Moses was not able to enter into that land of Canaan because he did not listen to God in terms of getting water for the Israelites at Meribah, because they were quarreling over the fact that they had no water. God told him to just speak to the rock and the water would flow out, but Moses took it upon himself to kind of elevate himself and to show his power by striking the rock with the staff twice. And that kind of made God look secondary to Moses in God's eyes, and so that's where God said, no, that's not what I told you to do. You need to raise me up to the highest level, and because of that, you won't be going into the land of Canaan. So enjoy reading the rest of this, and I encourage you as you go through these Old Testament areas where things are outlined, and now we'll see where the various tribes have occupied various region in the land of Canaan. Break out some maps and see where those folks in the various tribes divided up that land by inheritance. And I hope that God continues to bless you in your continued reading of the One Year Bible Challenge. Have a blessed day.